Good evening, all. Welcome to another session of Ask the Professor. I'm your professor. As you can see, as we stated last time, we kicked Deb off the show.
No, we did not.
I hope you watch it, Debbie. Get him.
We love you, Deb. Don't mind him. We'll beat up on him for you tonight.
But regardless, hey, yeah, Deb, we miss you. But we still have our normal group of suspects with special guests. So we got Flex. Good evening to you, brother. We got Angelia, aka Miss Ladybug. Good evening, and our special guest, Mylira, our confidence coach. Good evening to you, ma'am.
Good evening.
Yeah, so look to a great show on confidence and what you have to teach us. So all your viewers, thanks for your viewership. Please stay tuned after this intro. All right, Flex.
Baby, the floor is yours. Yeah, baby, I mean the floor is yours. If it come down to the floor is yours. Let me show you how I prove the floor is yours. The floor is yours. The floor is yours. The floor is yours. The floor is yours.
Y'all know I almost wore that sweater today, so I was like, wait a minute, I was gonna wear that sweater today. Thank goodness I didn't.
That would have been dope. Yeah. All right. So, hey, everybody, you know the routine. Like, share, and invite. Subscribe to us on all the different platforms. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on TikTok, y'all. We're on LinkedIn. And of course, we are on Instagram. So look on your favorite social media sites and look for us. And, you know, the people that's not on Facebook, send them to YouTube. That'll help us gain followers for people who are not on YouTube. I'm sorry, who are not on Facebook. So that way they can join the conversation. Hey, special shout out to our Sip and Converse Rebooted community. I appreciate y'all tuning in. And everybody else, just tune in. Let us know where you're from. Let us know where you're watching from. So we'll shout you out. Other than that, pass to the professor.
Hey, as I stated, thank you all for your viewership. Looking forward to a great show. And thank you to my special, guest host, Angelia. Thanks for being with us this evening. Can you please do us the honors of introducing our special guest, Miss Mylira?
Thank you guys for all the intros. Again, smash all those buttons that Flex mentioned, like, comment, and subscribe. Also, if you can, repost our videos to your page so we can gain more subscribers and people can see that we're actually bringing important topics that matter to you and to your community. Today, we have an extraordinary and special guest with us, Miss Mylira Green. And again, that's Mylira, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Mylira Green. And Miss Mylira Green is here to tell us all about her passion in life, what led her there, and how you too can benefit from some of the things that she's implemented in her life to help build herself. So our wonderful esteemed guest today, Miss Mylira Green. Everybody, around the applause for Miss Mylira Green. She is a very one of our most prized guests. We were so excited when I found out that the professor was bringing her on. I went and did a deep dive, not a stalk, a deep dive. So I went and did a deep dive. I said, this woman is amazing. So I can't wait to hear your story. Please and thank you for blessing us with your presence. So go ahead and tell us a bit about yourself today. And we're going to go ahead and hit you with a few questions. Nothing to throw you off, but just to let you know that we want to see if we can cover as much information as possible to inform the viewers this evening.
Absolutely. Well, my name is Mylira Green, and I am a native of Suffolk, Virginia. I'm going to put my city on the map. Yes, VA. I am a licensed clinical social worker by trade, but I'm a servant at heart. And I realized that everything that I have experienced literally created my purpose. So it may have been painful going through it, but it definitely is my purpose. So right now I serve as a director of community-based programs for a local nonprofit where we service at-risk youth who are at risk of out-of-home placement. I also help with adults who need mental health support in the community. We do supervised visitation. I sit on the board of a local nonprofit as well called Vision Driven 757. Hello, Lindsay. I'm going to shout you out. And we work with families and their kids I'm the owner of M Green Enterprises LLC, where we provide preventative services to lower the rate of individuals who need post-reactionary care. Meaning, I'm not going to sit here and just give you therapy, but I want to educate you on what's going to lead you to therapy. And how that was birthed was I realized that there were so many people like myself that needed someone like me, but they did not show up. So I wanted to be the person to show up. I wanted to be the person to help people acknowledge their story. Outside of all the accolades, I do have my bachelor's degree from Norfolk State University, so behold the green and gold. I have my master's in social work as well from University of Southern California. And I'm currently getting my PhD at Regent University in organizational leadership. So when I tell you I do a lot of things, people say you're busy, but I say I'm just living. And I thank God for that. Outside of businessy stuff and education, I am a mother of 4 children. I say 4 because 2 are angels and 2 are living. So I have a rainbow daughter, Adonaiah. She's 5. And then my son, Aswan, he just turned 3. And that's my miracle son because we both almost died. And I'm married to my best friend. And right now in the season, I get the opportunity to learn what rebuilding looks like and what forever actually takes. Which is a part of this whole confidence thing. You know, if I'm going to make it last forever, we both got to see each other, right? So that's a little bit about me. I know that's a lot, but I tried to put it in a little bit. And as far as how I do all this stuff, so I already said I'm a director. I'm a psychotherapist as well. I'm a Reiki master, so I believe in healing energy with hand placements. I'm an author, a speaker, and literally just a liver of life. So whatever God brings to me, that's what I do.
Oof. Oh, that is a lot. That's amazing. That is amazing. You mentioned the book. Can you tell us a little bit about, you said you were an author.
Yeah, so I actually have 2 self-published books and 2 anthologies that I was a part of. The first one is The Art of Just Being Me, which is the interactive guide of finding how to be yourself. So what it is I didn't want to create many Myliras, but I wanted to give you a front row seat of how I got from my pain to my purpose. How did I change my test into my testimony? And being able to walk you through 6 steps of how to do that. And it has open-ended questions in it so that you're not being me, but you're looking inside to be yourself. And that book is actually what birthed my Metamorphosis experience, which is a 6-week coaching program for women to become unstuck and motivated to confidently reach their goals while owning their gifts. My second book is Free Thyself, and that is a book of empowerment for individuals who have experienced sexual abuse and assault like myself, and being able to get them from being anchored in misery and being able to walk in triumph. And then 2 anthology projects I've done. The first one was a Speak Out series, and it was myself and other women who has had sexual abuse or domestic violence in their story. And then the last one is the one that I'm so proud of. Last night, the docu-series actually premiered on YouTube, the Why My Mom movement. And that was actually an anthology as well. And in that, not only was I able to heal, y'all, listen, I was able to heal, but I also brought my mom with me. Ooh. So my mom was able to tell her story, and I was able to tell mine. So those are the 4 books that I have written so far.
Wow. Free Thyself. Oh. So you guys want to hop into the questions? Because I've got a lot. I got a lot.
Yeah, it's on you, Professor.
Yeah, so before we get into private, thank you, Myra. Very accomplished. Thank you for spending your life, these moments with us. So really appreciate it. Don't know how you do it all, but I admire that all that you do. So, and hopefully we can stay in touch beyond this podcast and everything else. I know we'll keep track of what you're doing, what you're doing in life, and all the great things that you're doing and what's happening there. But before we get into the topic, I have a poem. Hopefully this poem will do it some justice, Miss Mylira some justice and everything else, and then we'll go into the topics, some questions. I wish Deb was here, so I need her now. So Deb would say I'm sensitive about my poems. So I am sensitive about my poems, but I do appreciate your feedback. So This poem is called Confidants. Me. All right, here we go. Sometimes life happens and it throws us off track. During these times, life loses its color and everything seems to fade into black. A less than colorful life is a sign that confidence is what we lack. So how do we find life and get our groove back? Well, listen closely because Ask the Professor is in session. Miss Mylira Green is here to teach us a lesson. Please post your comments and ask your questions. The goal is to teach you how to overcome fear and live a life in the freedom of your expression. Instead of attaching your confidence to someone else or a material possession, your knowledge or your wealth, but placing confidence where it belongs, within yourself. Please stay tuned and learn how to rediscover life, self-love in a world full of color.
Aww.
That's dope.
Oh, that was beautiful. I'm not gonna beat you up on that one. That was good. That was beautiful. I'm not gonna misstep you. No. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So what we'll do, that was a good point, man. Appreciate you. But what we're gonna do is play this video, and then after the video, we're gonna springboard right into the discussion. So
I finally realized it in the moment of being 215 at 13 years old and someone telling me that my size was bad. In that moment, I was no longer a fly on the wall. I was an active participant. So I began going home and saying, Mom, what diet are we going to do now? Mom, how many times are we going to go work out at the YMCA? Mom, I did marching band and I'm still not losing no weight. It went down this really bad spiral. And I remember boys used to say, Mylira, you got a pretty face, but I can't deal with all that you got. And I began to use my body to get attention because I thought that was the only way. So here I have a mom that can't tell me, baby girl, you're beautiful, because she didn't think she was beautiful.
That's good stuff. That's beautiful.
So why don't you just take a minute to tell us about that video, and then we'll spring right into the conversation.
Absolutely. So the Why My Mom project, I didn't know at first why the heck I was doing that project. I'm just going to put that out there and be real. Because I said to myself, Mylira, you did all this healing. You've been in therapy. You got a whole family. You a whole therapist. You ain't got to do this. But what I realized was a lot of my healing was for external things, for validation, so that I could be all these roles and all these things, but it never was an internal healing for me. So what you saw in that video was me acknowledging that for years I carried this expectation of my mother to show up in a certain way, but if she never got it, how could she give it to me? So then I didn't have an example of what loving yourself looked like. I had an example of what hating yourself looked like. So in this season, it's me being able to acknowledge and show people that I am not a confidence coach because I always had confidence. I'm a confidence coach because I know what it feels like to think that you are absolutely nothing, to think that death is way better than life, to be in that dark moment. So now it is what Wayne Dyer would actually explain it as. He says, if I told you I want 12 oranges, if you don't have 12 oranges, you got to go to the store and get those 12 oranges. It's the same thing with our parents. I had this expectation from my mother to show me how to love myself, to show me how to be myself. But if she never had someone to show her, how could she do that for me?
Yeah, that's heavy. That's good. What you got me thinking about how important it is. You know, we tell people don't worry about what other folks say, but I think what I'm hearing you say, it is important to have a good support team and people to encourage you when it comes to helping build your confidence. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. The visual I like to give people, we're all like cell phones. So I'm on this podcast with my cell phone's right here. We won't go nowhere without it, right? Mm-hmm. But as you see, my joint's plugged in because it's about to die. If we're like cell phones, we like to use God or our creator or whatever your belief is as our crutch. I'm just going to believe in him. I ain't got to worry about nobody else. It can be me, myself, and I'm good. But God is like the actual power cord that's in the wall. There's always power going in it, whether it's something plugged in it or not. But I don't know about you unless you got a special house. I can't put my phone directly up to that charger cord or that charger port. I have to have a cord to plug it in to be charged. The people in your life is that charger cord. My mother and my father was supposed to have been my charger cord. But guess what? I had an iPhone. They were Androids. So it wasn't that they didn't know how to charge me up. They had the power. I was just a different breed. I was just something different. So it's important for you to have that support around you. You cannot get to your self-love. Listen, y'all. Everything starts with you, but you can't get there by yourself. Because eventually your 100% is going to go down to 20. And because we now live in the pandemic, when your phone get to 20%, it start going weird. And you got to push either low battery mode or close or something. You got to have those people in your corner to validate your existence. I hate when people say you don't need validation. That is a lie. Don't let anybody ever tell you that. People need to be validated. Your presence needs to be acknowledged. You need to hear that. That's a whole part of the self-love journey as well. It's having a circle that's going to remind you of the you that you are in the moments where you don't see you.
That's different because I agree. And I'm sorry, Angel, and I agree. I think that's the premise of relationship, right? He didn't put us here to interact with ourselves. I think it is important to exercise the fact that we do have relationship and to encourage and to build and help each other when we're weak. So I absolutely agree.
And I love the fact that what she did was she said that she was at a point in her life where when she found that, she actually brought her mom along. And so I think that you were also helping spread that confidence, or not even just confidence. You are actually spreading that hope for yourself and a better self. I have a question, and the question is you talked about trauma in a sense, and this is a question that's more geared towards, do you think that a lot of adult trauma is a part of unresolved childhood trauma?
Absolutely. We like to give labels. We like to throw out the terms depression and anxiety. But the reality is most of us is walking around with PTSD. Why? Because there's an actual situation, a specific episode, a specific thing that has occurred in our life that is now serving as many triggers in every other area of your life. So when you get an adult and you begin to foster relationships, you begin to have leadership roles at your job, or heck, you're just a worker. Those things that happen in your childhood carries with you in your adulthood. So it's not about shadow work. We like to throw all these terms out here. It's not about all of that. It's about what's essentially happening is, I call it, you're feeding the elephant in your room. What that is everybody know that an elephant is big. That's a part of it, right? But an elephant has the world's best memory. So when you say to yourself, when these situations are happening, because let's go back just a little bit and I'm going to come back to this space, I promise. When you are a kid, if you felt anything other than happy, what happened? If I threw a temper tantrum, my parents was picking me up to make me okay. If I'm crying, I got to be okay. If I'm upset, what are you upset about? I'm going to give you something to be upset about. If you were not happy, then you were told that these other emotions were not appropriate. So then now go back to the elephant in the room. As you are having these many traumas, many episodes, many situations, you're essentially saying, oh, well, I'm not going to deal with this emotion because it's not happy. So then your elephant is saying, you may not remember, but I remember it. And eventually it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it pushes you out of your room. Now you're an adult with mental health issues having to come see a Mylira, and you're trying to figure out what happened.
Or you're in a relationship and you're taking those emotional issues into the relationships that you have, personal, professional.
Absolutely.
And you got me think about, and I want the professor to chime in on this one. There's a number of reasons why people try to control their emotions, if that's the right way to put it. And I'm thinking about the many years he and I spent in the military, or, growing up as men, we're told to, channel and not be so emotional. Professor, how do you, or what advice would you give to people when you're talking about how to balance when to show your emotions and when it's not appropriate? If there's ever a time when it's not appropriate.
I don't know if it's time it's not appropriate. I don't think it's about the showing of emotion. I think it's about how you actually show the emotion. So if the end state is to release the emotion so it's not built up, or it doesn't build some bitterness and resentment inside you, because you can't hold those emotions up for so long before it does something damage internally. It's just about knowing how to actually release it. So unfortunately, sometimes our reactions are not good to the actions that's presented to us, and they could be in negative ways. But there's other positive ways to release the emotion and still get the same effect. So I would recommend know how to release the emotion and instead of holding on to it.
Man, that's good, man. That's good. And I guess when you talk about in the sense of what confidence is, how does that is for you, Miss Mylira? How do you balance that? What he's saying with the whole confidence piece?
So, confidence is a man-made term, right? So when I say I'm the confidence coach, what I'm saying is whatever it is that's going to make you pick life in this moment, that's the confidence I'm talking about. I'm not talking about how you dress, how you look, the inside, your feelings. I'm saying, what is it going to take for in this moment, life seems better than death? That's why I coined myself as the confidence coach. Because when you are dealing with these emotions in the mental health realm, we call them core beliefs, right? So you have these things that you create in your mind because of experiences that you have. So essentially, it serves as the glasses of life. So if you believe that, let's say, I'm not valuable and something great happens, let's say if my core belief was I'm not valuable, and as I'm up here and you guys are talking about my accolades and all these things, I can hear you saying that. But if my core belief says I'm not valuable, now the feeling that I'm experiencing is uncomfortable. They're not being honest because this is my core belief in my mind. So when we're talking about confidence, what we're talking about is what am I going to get to mentally to ensure that I am willing to live my best life, regardless of how I feel in this moment. Y'all listen, I'm a whole confidence coach and I still have dark moments.
Right. But and the dark moments are there. I see so many, and I don't want to go too dark, but there's been a lot of suicide in the news with celebrity children, and and there has to, and you think with all the resources that they have, why do they still move forward and push the card? So, you try to think what elements are missing where you have a person. Some people don't deal with mental illness, I believe, because they don't always have the resources. But then you have people that do have the resources. And then, you find a 26-year-old still takes their life, and a 20. And so there's some trauma there, are some issues there that aren't necessarily being dealt with. My thing is that we all know that there are hotlines out there and people out there. And so a lot of times I think in certain communities, we're always shunned upon expressing ourselves and dealing with our emotional self. How would you suggest that a person move forward if they are embarrassed about their emotions, or feeling like, maybe it's a machoism thing going on there and they can't be emotional and express themselves? And I'm talking about men, but I'm also talking about women who have so much going on around them that they can't afford to break down.
So this is where that validation part comes in that most people don't really talk about. Because I remember being 17, and I did share this in the docuseries last night. I was 17 and I couldn't take it no more. I was done. I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm tired of showing up for people. I was doing everything for everybody. I was in every single ministry. I was at school to be a social worker. So I'm learning how to help. I know how the brain works. And I myself was at a point where I was like, I am done. And I was about to take my life. What happens in the moment is it's not about a lack of resources. It's about a lack of you believing that you are enough for the breath in your body. It's not about being a celebrity. It's not about being in poverty. It's all about if you don't believe in your mind that you are worth the breath in your body, you're going to take your life regardless of how many therapists you sit in front of, regardless of how many pastors pray over you. It doesn't matter. If you do not believe that you are worthy and you are enough, then it does not matter. So how do we combat that? In our communities, we need to start lifting up our Black kids, our Black boys, our Black daughters, our daughters and kids in general. We need to begin to speak on our children. When my kids walk out of this house every morning, I make them repeat after me. I am beautiful. I am royalty. I am enough. I am teachable. I am smart. I am kind. I am lovable. And then they say, I am enough. When my kids walk out the house, that's what they hear. So when I'm on a Facebook Live and my daughter walk past, guess what she does? I don't know what she be saying, but she sure be motivating people. Why? Because I'm validating her existence. So when she gets in that dark moment, she remembers the words that mommy said. So even in the moment, she may not feel like she's enough. Somebody was in her ears saying it. We don't do enough being in our children's ears. We don't do enough creating that space so that when life is happening and that dark cloud comes, there has to be something else playing in your mind, or somebody should be in your space, creating that safe space. So regardless if they're a celebrity or someone that is going to the least of these schools, if you don't believe it, then it's not going to matter what resources are there, which is why I say I provide preventative services to reduce the rate of people doing post-reactionary care. Once a person gets to that dark cloud, it's very hard to get them out. So we can get them before that, then that will lower the rate of suicidality.
So you say these mental tools actually help starting from an early age in order to combat these emotions as they get older. And that's a preventative, and that is a preventative course to a healthy mental lifestyle.
Absolutely. And if you are an adult, you have to understand it's going to take a little more work. Like the things that I'm telling you guys, I didn't learn this stuff as a kid. Like, as you guys saw, my mom didn't know how to show me how to love myself. No slight to her. I have an amazing mother. I love her. But now as an adult, I had to do more work. I had to do the affirmations. I had to dive in. I had to be able to connect myself to the right aspects. But again, the resources did not work until I saw myself as valuable. I've been in therapy since I was 17. So I'm entering year 11 with a therapist. It wasn't until I realized my own worth when it actually worked.
Yeah. Hey, and I'm gonna brag on the military again. Vince, I'm sure you'll agree with me on this, but they do great in that community with building resources and not just being reactive, making sure that people know beforehand, building people up, you know, from the time we're privates, you know, they're instilling skills and, you know, leveling the playing field, letting everybody know that we're one, you know, and everybody has the equal chance to work up to the next rank, and all these resources are readily available. So Professor, you know, you've been on both sides. Do you see a noticeable difference on the outside of the military versus within the ranks?
I mean, the military is a very small population, so pound for pound, when it comes to numbers, the percentages are just about the same. But it's a struggle for everyone emotionally everywhere. So me personally, I mean, I believe, and I'm all for validating the children and telling your kids that they're beautiful, that they're great, they can do wonderful things. All for that. But I mean, unfortunately, our reality is most adults are the ones that's committing suicide. So I believe in this thing called the age of accountability. And the age of accountability is not about the age of you get out and you're providing for yourself and you're paying your own bills. But it's about time accounting for your own emotions, accounting for your own life, and not putting the requirement for someone else to validate you on your life. So I know for me, I've struggled with some things in my life and had some dark moments, but I had to discover love for myself, and I had to discover the purpose and passion for my life for myself. Now, there were people that supported me, but mostly those people supported me by helping show me what I needed to do to figure out my why for life, my purpose for life, my passion for life. So I feel like if we can get out and mentor and help those that may be in dark spaces and don't understand that why, help them find that passion, I think that would help resolve some issues. Regardless of how many or how little resources you have, I think those that are healthy and able-bodied, we should get out there and mentor and look for opportunities to help others find their why, find their purpose, and find their passion in life.
Yeah, that's good, man. Yeah,
Chad was in the comments earlier, and he made a comment about race, and he said that a black woman or man has nothing to do with it. It's hard everywhere. And I know, Flex, you wanted to touch on that, and I have a quick question for Miss Green, and then I have a question for both the professor and Flex. But first, Miss Green, I had the question that he asked. It made me think, and do we have any statistical information about the suicide rates and mental health rates among people in our community as opposed to other nationalities or other people of color? Do we know what that looks like?
So there are definitely stats out there. Do I know them right now? I don't. But to address what he brought up, that is a good point. I'm not saying that it's only for Black or brown kids. I'm just saying that I have Black children, and that's how I, instill with them. And it's very hard because when you do specify a race, then it makes it seem like you're excluding other people. And that is not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I can only speak from my perspective and what I see and from my own experience. So one thing I've realized in the African American community, we have a lot of what happens in this house stays in this house.
Correct.
Mental health is still taboo.
Yes.
Or as a therapist myself, I work with different races that they have those same experiences. So we're able to say, hey, in my household, this is what this looks like. In your household, this is what this looks like. So then now I get to better understand them. So when someone brings up race, I don't want anybody to feel like it's because we're excluding anybody, but that's my own personal experience that I have. Now, we want to talk about people in general. Every person has a brain. Mental health essentially is if you have a brain and you have thought, you have a mental health. So if we want to address it on a more grander scale, the reality of it is we got to begin to help people see their worth. Let's bring in one of my favorite comedians, Robin Williams. I had no idea that my favorite comedian was struggling. He's not from my background whatsoever, but he still was struggling. It had nothing to do with him being a celebrity or any of that. It had all to do, again, that thoughts that we were talking about a couple minutes ago. Like if you don't believe that you're viable, if you don't believe that your voice is being heard, if you don't believe any of those things, then that's how it becomes detrimental. So on this platform, I don't want anybody to feel as though I am letting anyone or that I'm not
excluding any other groups.
But I'm just speaking from my own experience and how it has impacted me.
And look at what your experience is doing. Based off your experience, you have the ability to not only help people in your community, but you have the ability now to spread the word so that it latches on to other communities. And that's what we wanted you here for definitely today. I wanted to ask a quick question to Flex and to the professor. When you guys came back from serving, without having to go into too much detail, do you guys feel like you brought some type of trauma and those mental tools that Ms. Green is speaking of, were those mental tools made available to you in order to cope and in order to re-enter civilian society? Either one of you can go first.
Yeah, I'll start off by saying, the military, as I said before, they do great at providing resources to make sure that we can as seamless as possible reintegrate back into civilian population. Is it perfect? By no means. And then you throw in the fact that we were a time before we were in the military, we weren't in the military.
Right.
That makes sense. So I carried those stigmas that I grew up with, specifically in the Black community, that we don't need mental health experts. Like we don't need to talk to counselors. We're strong Black men and all those things right there. So I'll be honest, when I first, came back in, from being in theater, and they was setting up time for people that wanted to talk to the chaplain or to a mental health therapist, I didn't go. I didn't sign up for them. I didn't think I needed them. And it wasn't until 10 years into my career that I was diagnosed with combat induced PTSD, And I remember, I just knew, something was different, but it was, I just remember the joke I used to tell my mom, like, Mom, I don't like people. And she was like, boy, I'm people. I'm like, oh, yeah. But to your question, they do provide the resources, but, there's a lot that keeps people from taking advantage of it. And mine was a lot of just, crazy thinking, that just, I didn't need it. So that's my experience with it.
Professor?
Yes, I agree with Flex. So I think the Army does a great job with providing resources, but just like a soldier is no different than a civilian. You still have an ego. So a lot of soldiers feel like they don't want to look less than a soldier. A lot of leaders don't want to look less than a leader, or they don't want to look less than whatever, and they don't take advantage of those resources. But the military provides a number of resources in a number of different formats and platforms, whatever the case may be. But unfortunately, a lot of soldiers don't take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Hey, and I'm gonna inject the question on there. This is gonna be, got a little gender biases in there. In our community, and you talked about this, Mylira, in your video. You said that you begin to use your body. With men, the old saying, like, hey, that's a show of strength. But with women, it's the exact opposite, and plus a whole lot more, whole lot worse. So, have you had to deal with that specifically? People, men or women, both sexes, that use their bodies to because of a lack of confidence, and how do you deal with it based on their gender?
Absolutely. So I pride myself on just seeing the person of the person. So I try to remove any labels. I try to remove anything that will make me view them as less than just a person, because we all have things that we do. So when it comes to using your body, I always just ask, like, what is your reason why? Like, what's your cause? So again, it goes back to just my own personal story and experience. Is for me, I use my body because I rather had heard, oh, she's a hoe, than me hearing, oh, she has gay tendencies. So a part of my story is from 3 to 13. I was exposed to sexual experiences by female family members. And I was able to introduce people to that same play. It was play for us. So mommy and daddy was easy, right? But then when I turned 13, it felt bad. So then I'm like, well, the only way I cannot hear that is if I go the opposite way. And then with me being someone that dealt with low self-esteem and body image issues, then the only thing I could do is if I did certain sexual things, at least somebody would give me attention. It all goes back to your why. Why are you making that decision? And me being able to help that person, regardless of what gender, of why are you choosing that? Is it for attention, or is it just because you're at that age and you want to do that? Like, what is your reason behind it? And then once we can figure that out, then I can really work with you. And it goes all back to your cognitions. What are you thinking? Your life has absolutely nothing to do with what you actually see. It has all to do with what you believe. So if you believe that this is your only way of getting attention, then that is what you're going to do. And when society throws all of these terms and things around, then it negates the beauty of just the human experience. So, like, for example, I always like to throw this out, especially when I'm talking to my fellow Christians, right? I say, why do you think back in the day they used to get married at 13 years old? It's because they understood that at 13, that's what you wanted to do. Now we live in a society where it's like, no, I want you to wait until you done lived your life, and you got to be 40 years old, and then you. No, like, some things are just natural. So for me, it's understanding the naturalness of the human being. So then I can really see, is it a problem with what they're doing, or do we just need to navigate it in a more healthier way? And that's kind of how I do it professionally with the people that I work with.
That's good. Chad said, Lord Jesus, who knows what I did when I was young? And to your point, you're right. It's natural. And I've had that conversation with a number of people that, by the time they tell you to go to school and get your degree and work on your career and then live your life and then, get married. And I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing, but I think when you realize what all that entails and what that does to you, I got this saying that we play like we practiced. So if I've went through my life being uncommitted, and then when someone gets on my nerves, I'm on to the next one, to think that now that I'm in a committed relationship, that I'm going to all of a sudden be the best husband possible. I'm talking from experience that it didn't work that way. So, you bring up a lot of valid points that our body, I look at our bodies as sacred. And if we don't treat them as such, and it's a lot of power influence into them, but, we can do good and bad with them. So.
And even in college, I felt like I had experiences with people in my circle that had some type of generational trauma that turned into, teenage trauma that turned into something else, and so they use their promiscuity in order to mask it or hide it. And that was both male and female. And not to get too deep into gender identity, I did notice you said that you had a portion in time in your life. Do you guys also offer resources for people who struggle with, who not necessarily struggle with their gender identity, or just struggle with their own personal sexuality as well?
Absolutely. So I've actually served as a life coach to a transgendered male. And he did a docu-series that I was a part of. So it's JB, My Trans America. And that was very eye-opening for me. And again, it goes back to just being able to see the human being in people. Like when I see a person, I'm not looking at you through any lens besides you are a human being just like me. And let me get to know what your experience is. So when people are struggling, I'm seeing your struggle like a everyday struggle. So we sat down, like, tell me what you are experiencing. Let me know what's going on. And like to this day, he calls me his coach because I just show up. It's like, look, at the end of the day, you are a human being. I don't care what you identify as. I don't care who you like, who you love, none of that. All I care about is right now you trying to become the best version of you, and how can we get there? What's hindering you from getting there? Let's talk about what it feels like to not be accepted by your family. Let's talk about what it feels like having to build a whole support system. Let's talk about how it feels like that I'm the only person that said yes to being in your actual docuseries. Like, let's actually talk about these things. So when you're able to see the person of the person and not judge them. And I know sometimes people may say, well, Mylira, you know, your beliefs should say this and say that. I said, at the end of the day, the Jesus I know, he loved everybody and everybody was at his table, right? So at the end of the day, I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to take on what your struggles are. All I'm here to do is to make sure that you have a support system that you need. And that's what I do. And in our local area, we do have a lot of LGBTQ like support groups that our local community services boards provide. I know at my company, the Up Center that I work for, we also have some support groups, and we're doing trainings as well so that we can show up for them. Because here's what's sad. In October, that is National Teen Homeless and Runaway Month. And in one day, 44,000, not just 44,000 youth was homeless. And a big percentage of that was because of their sexuality. So what are we really doing?
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Yes, we've dealt with that in the military. You know, the one thing that we say is everybody deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. At the end of the day, regardless of what your personal beliefs are about people's sexuality or, you know, things to be unified on that term right there, or that phrase, I think is what makes us strong as we are, you know, no matter what. So Vince, you got anything to add on that?
Oh yeah, I agree. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. And I agree that, I mean, as mentors, we have a certain population we can touch, and there's probably a certain population we can't touch. But at the end of the day, as humans, I think the greatest human need is to be appreciated. So everyone wants to feel appreciated and respected.
Yes.
So when you say the population that you can't touch, what do you mean?
I mean, some people, I think people look up, they say lead by example. I think some people will look at you and they may find some kind of character trait or some kind of physical trait that attract them to you. And they kind of open the door to kind of have an influence over them. And you just want to attract everybody, and everybody just want to be attracted to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll be honest, I've been an experience with some young men that I've mentored, is they suffered with their confidence. They didn't feel that they were attractive, and it kind of surprised me, you know. Thought that they was, you know, handsome, well carried, you know, carried themselves well, young men. But rejection is a big part of it, and that can take us into the next topic. How do you accept rejection? You know, it's not the end of the world. And I've, you know, Vince, we've talked about that. I keep saying Vince, the professor, man, my bad. But we talked about how rejection can be a confidence killer. So let's talk about that right there, Professor. Let you start off the discussion.
Well, my belief is if you are not comfortable with rejection because you haven't had enough of it. So I think anything we get exposed to it, you get comfortable with it. So at some point, you'll get comfortable with rejection just like you get comfortable with anything else. So, but that's just my belief. The other side of it is you could find your validation, your center of the universe is outside of yourself. So I say, hey, I don't want to love nobody more than I love myself. Because at the end of the day, I have to live with myself each and every day. And if I make you my center, then you can be everything else detrimental to me. So I believe that I don't believe in attaching myself to anything greater than myself.
Oh man, that's good, man. Boy, Mario, you know, we both know Mario. He used to say, it's a thing of numbers. He say he'll ask enough. Eventually, somebody gonna say yeah. So, you know, well, Mario don't care about getting rejected.
So all you can do is the worst position you could be in is the position you was already in before you asked the question. So at worst, you'd be where you was already at.
Right.
Okay, it's perspective.
So you two as men, you guys have learned throughout your lives to work through rejection. But on the other side of that, Ms. Green also made a comment earlier in her conversation where she said you also need those positive reinforcements and that support system when you go home. So even if you hear all this rejection on the streets, you are right, because you're like, hey, that's okay, because I got people that love me at home and they know who I am, you know, and they've told me, you know, to believe in myself, and I know who I am based off the people that love me. So yeah. I think of course I've faced rejection in my life, but again, like she said, I had a great support system and someone to come in and counteract a lot of negative thoughts. You know, I went through a phase in college where I was like, okay, I'm trying to figure out who I am. So I went and I saw professional counseling, and you know, a lot of my friends were like, oh, that's white girl shit. That's what I was told. And I was like, you know, I look and I think about how I was able to rebound from a lot of the pressures while I was in college. And then I look at my counterparts, not necessarily judging their path because they're all great and successful, but I realized that I was able to maneuver and ease through life with that additional support and those mental tools. Those mental tools Ms. Green is talking about, those things especially are they're you can't live without them.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
So one more question I have for Ms. Green, because I know we're getting close. Okay, so what Flex kind of asked this and then we rolled into something else, but how can someone start a journey to rediscovering confidence in their life? How can someone start that journey? That is one of the burning questions that we wanted to ask today.
Absolutely. The way you start that journey is by not being ashamed of your story. Because one thing that I have learned is a beauty in being transparent and accepting your story. You can't change the past. And I love metamorphosis because we always want to jump into butterfly, but we have to have that cocoon moment. That cocoon moment is that pressure. When you're at caterpillar, you're hurting everything. Like you're hoarding all the hurt, you're hoarding all the trauma, you're hoarding all the negative things that happen. So now you're trying to hold on to it because you don't know what to do with it. When you get into that cocoon moment, that's when you acknowledge, like, yo, that is my story. And I'm not ashamed. Like, people can sit here and say, like, whatever they want to say about me and my story, but I've accepted it. I wholeheartedly accepted that these are the actions that I did. These are the things that occurred to me. So now cocoon, I am not afraid of the pressure. I'm not afraid of the rejection that you guys was just talking about, because now I know how to eat the meat and spit out the bones. Like sometimes there's going to be a situation where I'm about to gnaw down some chicken breast because what you actually just said checked me and I need to change. Or on the other hand, it may have been like curry goat. And if anybody knows curry goat, it's more bones than it's meat. But I'm learning how to take that in, because at the end of the day, I get to get in this cocoon moment and acknowledge who I am. And when I get there, I realize there's no competition. I realize that there's space at the table for me because I have strengths that I can provide. There's some things that make me unique. There's something in me that nobody else can do. That's like in the entrepreneurship space. Like we've been talking about how you guys are mentors, right? Just because y'all mentors don't take away what the other brother's doing. It just means that you're your own puzzle piece. So if you're understanding that you hold a piece to life's puzzle. In the same way, and you can, I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I did not like doing puzzles. Why? Because all the pieces look the same. But even if all the pieces look the same, that one piece only got one spot it can go into. You are that one spot. That's how you start. When you realize that only you hold the key to something, that only you are equipped for something, that people need you. You hold a solution to somebody's problem that only you can fix, only you can show up. And if you don't show up, something or somebody's going to miss that. So that's how you start with the confidence. It's not about being all the way confident. Sometimes you got to do it scared. Y'all listen, this whole time I've been on this joint, I've been shaking. Why? Because I want to make sure that everything that flows from my lips actually penetrates your heart and change you, right? That's a lot of pressure. Yes. But at the end of the day, I still got to show up. I still got to know that it's something about Mylira that's different. There's something about Shalonda that's watching that's different. It's something about Tiffany that's watching that's different. It's something about Chad that's watching that's different. Like, you got to understand that you are a special puzzle piece in this thing called life. And without you, I won't be able to exist because I'm going to miss a part of my bigger picture.
Yes, that gave me goosebumps. And Tiffany's right. She was ministering for a second. I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Hey, as we said, the church passed collection plate.
Collection plate, like for real. Plug your Zelle.
Yeah.
Yes, that was amazing. Wow, that's some good stuff. So I have learned so much. I have been taking notes. You know, I've the tools. I've heard you talk about, you know, understanding about, you know, transitioning into and holding on to those keys and the meat of it all. It starts with you. You have to look inside yourself and really sit with yourself. I think that's what a lot of people, we don't like to sit with ourselves sometimes. We don't really like to face things. We like things to happen to us, and it's becoming a sounding board. I think our issues are sounding boards onto our bodies, and we just absorb it and absorb it and absorb it and absorb it. And so, you know, we never find that release. Yeah, it starts with you. Yes, Shalonda, it does.
That was good. All right, Professor, what's next?
Hey, it's been a great show. I think we run out of time. So thank you, Miss Mylira. But before we go, I think Flex, you got a commercial for us. So thank you for our sponsors. Just want to give them a little love. What you got, Flex?
Green Enterprises, LLC presents Loving Beeline. Tap into my inner wisdom. Living well, manifest from my wishing well. Then I wish you well, smiling like a show and tell. You know I love myself. Self-love, yeah, this a show to tell. It's the best love. Self-love is the best love. The most love you get from your self-love. Self-love is the best love. The most love you get from your self-love.
Yes. I love it.
Man, shout out to Chad, man. Chad been riding with us the whole show. He said he'll ask both y'all out. So hey, appreciate you tuning in. Chad has been the only
Wait, one more thing before we go. Can we get Miss Mylira to tell us how we can contact her and find her if she wants to quickly plug her platforms, so that people can find those resources that she spoke of?
Absolutely. So I am Mylira Green. I mainly use Facebook. I'm an old person at heart. You can just type Mylira Green down. But as far as business stuff, just go to MyliraTransforms.com. You will find my amazing line that just dropped today, the Loving Me line. It's a follow-up from my Fall For Me line that I had that's really supposed to lower suicidality in life. So when you see my shirt and you read I'm enough, if you're having a hard moment, hopefully it will spark life in you when you're thinking about death. My phone number is down there, 757-609-0694.
Chad got it now. Oh, Lord.
I think Chad's our Canadian friend.
It's a Google Voice. But yeah, so that's how you can connect with me. I'm very personable. So if there was anything that I shared and you're like, hey, I want to know more about that, please let me know. That's what I'm here for. If you are on Instagram, it's Mylira Transforms as well up there.
And Mylira, we definitely, someone also mentioned that there needs to be a part 2, and I agree. I would love to have you back on Greenwood. Our professor wants to set up another opportunity for us sometime in Black History Month, since we're moving there. And though we celebrate Black history every day, we definitely want to highlight, entrepreneurs like such as yourself, and maybe bring you back and talk a little bit more about mental health and kind of dive a little bit deeper than we did today, because someone also mentioned that this was a listening session, and it was a listening session, but we really want to take an opportunity to kind of just go a step deeper and get some of your ideas and thoughts about it. You did an amazing job today setting the scale for what is important to the communities that we live in without excluding the communities that already exist. And so I just wanted to reiterate that. And we definitely appreciate you, your presence, your beauty, your energy, your spirit, your path in life, which we really didn't even get to touch on. Your path, and so that's something that, I would really like to take some more time to rediscover. An hour goes by so fast, and there's so little, and we tried our best to structure it out. But if you be willing, we'd love to have you back.
Absolutely. Y'all part of my family now. Remember those charger cords? Y'all part of that, okay?
Right.
That's
I'm
right.
Android.
I love it.
Team Android.
You Android, okay? I have to borrow my husband's phone for that one.
Listen, I got to borrow my husband's phone too, because he's an Android.
So we're gonna go ahead and wrap show up. So we're gonna go with some parting thoughts, and we're gonna start off with the special guest, Miss Mylira. Your parting thoughts for the followers.
Absolutely. I want you to know at the end of the day, you are enough. There is nothing else that you need to do. There is nothing else that you need to accomplish. That breath that you have in your body. Matter of fact, I want everybody just to take a deep breath with me. Let it out. That breath that you just took was literally someone's just flatline. That was their last breath. So how dare we not walk in our purpose and fulfill it? That breath that you have right now is telling you that you still got purpose, that you still have a reason to live. There is still something in you that we need. And the last piece I got you is do not abort your baby. Them contractions that you feeling right now is just a little bit of pressure on your cervix, because God's about to break your water, and there's a birth that you about to give to something. So because you are contracting, you feel it in your back, you're hobbling over, and they tell you it's still not time, you're just dilating, baby. Don't give up.
All right. Ladybug, parting thoughts, man.
My parting thoughts are, I learned a lot today. I learned a lot about paths of all people, and how I can learn that I am enough. Like Shalonda just said, I am enough. That we are enough. Keep building our support systems, and that's a path for me. And you guys are my support systems right here on this podcast. So I appreciate you, Professor, for allowing me to come on again. I didn't beat up on you like you used to, but this was not a beat up session.
Man, great words.
I appreciate that.
But thank you. And the poem was beautiful. One of the best poems I've ever heard you read.
Oh yeah, what? I know already. Yeah, yes. I'm going back listening to that.
I want to read too.
Behind you, what's behind you? What's the writing behind you?
Oh, this is just some standard wallpaper. It's not my own personal writing.
Okay, it's wallpaper. Okay, it's dope. I thought it was like maybe a vision board that you turned into wallpaper. That would be dope.
No, so I am planning to, once I publish this book, I plan to have my poems on wallpaper and then floor tiles and everything else.
Oh, that's beautiful.
All right, Professor, it's your turn, man, to come with your parting thoughts.
Yeah, so my thoughts is always the same. Love yourself. We all been through some things in our life in the past, so those things are behind us. But love yourself for who you are today, and just keep pushing, and you will be who you desire to be tomorrow. So love yourself for where you are now. Love yourself today, and like I said, tomorrow will come, God willing. So be safe.
Hey, one more time, shout out to my Canadian homeboy Chad Watson, man. Appreciate you for tuning in and spending your time with us, man. You could have been anywhere, but you right here on the Floor is Yours podcast. And with that being said, follow the page for all upcoming shows. The Professor, man, we're getting that thing wind up. We want to pump a show out at least once a week and sometimes twice a week. So there's the Love and Relationship Show. You know, we go on the second and the fourth Sunday. T Wheels Educate and Motivate. We starting that back up in February, and that's everything finances. We're trying to build whole people. So one of that is learning to be financial savvy. You know, quit wasting money, and you know that's subjective, but we do want people to be smart with their money, and especially in the home buying arena. So tune in to the Superman T Wheel Educate and Motivate show. What else? Thanks again for everybody that tuned in, and I'll pass it to Ladybug so she can close us out.
Thank you guys so much. Again, reach out to us, like, comment, subscribe on all our platforms. That was, wait a minute, Chad. I was texting Miss Green my telephone number. But please like, comment, subscribe on all our platforms. Don't forget to tune in on Green with the Podcast. Again, thank you, Chad. I've never met you, but you need to bring more men to these type of topics, since you did mention you were the only male in here. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you for everybody that's on YouTube that we can always see the comments. Thank you guys from the other platforms that are tuned in. We appreciate you guys. Thank you, Miss Green. Thank you to Professor for having me on again. And again, remember that we are always enough. We are all enough. We are all enough.
All right. And before, let me get a couple shout outs to Miss Shalonda Goodwater, a longtime friend watching us from South Carolina, Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. Appreciate you tuning in. And Miss Tiffany Morris, a good friend as well. Hey, prayers going up for Tiffany Morris. She lost a couple family members. Her grandmother just passed away a few days ago. The funeral's tomorrow. So hugs, prayers, and all that for you. Be strong, please.
And we have wait, one more thing.
Okay.
If you guys are interested in vegan, please go out. One of my great friends out of Cali brought me this book. It's The Unbelievable Vegan. Thank you so much, Mina. I love you. You are my best friend, my best friend in the whole wide world. Barbecue, no, vegan. But yeah, and it is by Charity Morgan. So this is my book. I always try to bring a book for the week. So thank you guys. Unbelievably vegan.
All right. Peace out. Until next time.
Next time. See you guys.
Baby, the floor is yours. Yeah, baby, I mean the floor is yours. If it come down to the floor is yours, let me show you how prove the floor is yours. The floor is yours. The floor is yours. The floor is yours.
Yay!
Peace out.